Jabari Bird growing up, I was a passionate kid, full of energy like any other kid.
It was something about Jabari early on. Being a mom, you know the difference being that he had a sister. Jabari had the type of personality, he was like a magnet, Pied Piper. It was something about Jabari back then, and I always remind him there's something about him today.
I think we bought the house in Vallejo, and when I bought that house, I think I poured 10 yards of concrete in the backyard and put up a hoop.
For me personally, that was easy for me to work on my game because I didn't have to go anywhere. Like I would come home, finish my homework, and then when I was done homework, I'll go out in the backyard and I'll play for hours on top of hours. And that's how I kind of perfected my craft at a young age and found the love for the game.
I never pressured him to play basketball. He enjoyed playing the game.
I obviously got into the game because of my dad. He also played at Cal for 2 years, his junior and senior year. And he had a passion for the game just like I do now. So he really was the first one to kind of put the ball in my hand and try to get me into the sport like he did. On the court, my dad was extremely competitive. He used to dominate me all the time growing up. I was little. I didn't really hit my growth spurt until high school. But once I hit about 15, that's when I started, getting a little athletic, got a little taller.
He never was the biggest, but he always played with older kids.
I really appreciate those times growing up, playing against older kids, playing against better competition, because it really showed me the man I am today and the player I am today.
Going into his 8th grade year, he dunked in a game. Wasn't nobody dunking at the time, but he was still little at the time, and he just started flying.
We were in Sacramento for an AAU tournament, and I just caught on the fast break and jumped off 1 foot and threw it down. And I remember I ran. First of all, I took my jersey off my shorts and pulled my jersey up. I was celebrating, going crazy myself. And I looked up in the crowd, my dad jumped around high-fiving everybody, yeah, that's my boy, that's my boy. And I was like, that was the first time I ever seen that in the last, so it was a special moment.
Carl took him over to Mare Island, and he came back home. He was really said, babe, Jabari was over there playing with grown men. Now for me, grown men, he could have got hurt. He said, no, he could handle himself out there.
And that's when I kind of realized that he might have a future.
Going from the little guy on the playground to being a McDonald's All-American, at the time in high school, that was the ultimate accomplishment for me. I just won a state championship my junior year, then for senior year to be All-American. I feel like I was on the top of the world, And to be a part of such a prestigious event in Chicago like that, it's still something I hold dear today.
When the movie Space Jam came out, they would sit all day long watching that movie.
The first time I seen Michael Jordan, I was watching Space Jam. I was watching that when I was like, who is that dude right there? I want to be like that.
He did remember a lot of the lines from the movie, and he had his little toy hoop, and he would dunk like Michael Jordan did in the movies.
It was almost like he was mesmerized with Michael.
Me personally, because I was so fixated on being like MJ, I wanted to go to North Carolina until I actually got older and realized how much of a homebody I was. And I wanted to stay close to friends and family and kind of be in the Bay Area for my college years.
I just hit him with the subliminal stuff about staying home. He didn't know what was going on, but he might see a cow cap or something, lying, whatever. I hit him with something subliminally, but it was his decision.
At first, finding out my dad went to Cal, a lot of people wanted me to go there. He wanted me to go there. And me at first, I wasn't really down with that. I wanted to make my own path, go my own route, and kind of be my own person. But as I got older, I started really thinking about it. It wouldn't be such a bad decision to stay home, because I noticed a lot of guys were leaving the Bay Area who were great talented players from the Bay Area, going to other places. Everybody else is going to other programs on the West Coast, East Coast, and making their programs, powerhouses. Why not just stay home in the Bay Area and make Cal a powerhouse? Try to build that program up. And that was the main goal for me.
I think it was the best decision that he made, staying near home, because if he wouldn't not been near home, I would have missed him. Wouldn't be able to go to all his home games. So I think that was the best decision that he made.
And we want him to know, and we've always wanted him to know, how proud we are of him being there and being a part of this, and not to take any of it for granted.
I want to be remembered as somebody who worked hard every day, somebody who tried to make his teammates better, a selfless guy, somebody who can go out there and try to lead, and not, everything to be about me. And just somebody, who's a winner.